Hey, my name is Paul-Beckett, and today I'm going to talk about what appears to be kind of contradictory or overlapping or just confusing spiritual perspectives online. And I know this is a bit funny because what I'm actually doing is giving a spiritual perspective online, but it's something that I've found post self-realization, being fully aware of my true nature. Uh, Having not been a spiritual person before, I all of a sudden kind of started looking, seeing what's out there, getting to know who the spiritual teachers were, getting to know some concepts, and I think concepts being the key word there. And actually, I really, really resonated with some, and I know that everybody's putting their perspective out there as an act of service. So I really don't mean this in any way to kind of like diss somebody or anything. That's not what I'm about at all. But I was finding myself getting quite almost confused because a lot of spiritual perspectives seem to contradict each other or seem to kind of just come from a different way, which someone like me who had absolutely no spiritual background before self-realization, before this happened to me, and all of a sudden I was, awake in the real world, to kind of like jump right in like that, I was a little bit like, well, I was confused. That's probably the best way I can put it. So, the way I talk about self realization is your friend can recommend a restaurant to you, say it was really good, they had the best meal of their life. So, you've got kind of that idea. You can go to the restaurant yourself, and the waiter can describe the favourite dish of the house to you, the best dish, best selling dish, and you can go in really in depth, so you've got a little bit more concept there. You feel like you understand this meal a little bit more. Then you can read the menu. You can read all the ingredients. You can be like, yeah, I really, really understand this dish. But how much do you understand it really without tasting it? Self-realization. Once you self-realize, once you've got that knowing in every cell of your being, in your bones, you've tasted the meal. You're no longer working on the concepts of what you think that meal might be, of what you expected that meal to be, of what other people told you that meal tasted like. You've now tasted it for yourself. So you're like, wow, okay, I understand. I understand this now. The concept of the meal, the reading it on the menu, the listening to the waiter, the recommendations by your friends actually now mean nothing because you've tasted it for yourself. You know that meal. You know you know it. You know it inside you. So that is the way that I kind of was feeling. I self-realized. I started looking at all these spiritual things, and without like obviously without being in any way dissing any other spiritual teacher. It's not what I'm here to do. But I was finding myself getting confused because somebody would come at it something from one way, somebody would say something from another. Some things appeared to kind of contradict a little bit. And actually what I found it was doing is it was taking me further away from my sense of knowing, because I knew. I self-realized and I just knew. And it's one of those things, how do you know? I don't know how I know. I remembered. And everything that I was remembering, I just knew was the truth. It's a funny thing with the truth because when you hear it, you know it. And so what I found myself doing was maybe drawing back from listening to all these spiritual perspectives online because I really wanted to work on my own sense of knowing, my own sovereignty, because that's what we are. We are all the sovereign being. And we can all try to explain the unexplainable from our own point of view, from our own perspective, and we can all be telling the exact truth. But there are many versions of the truth when we're talking about something which is so vast, infinite, like undescribable. Words can't really do it. I often wondered when you think about Christianity, why did Jesus always like compose it in like these kind of parables and these kind of sideways ways? He'd never kind of say it directly. And now that I've self-realized, I'm like, I understand why. Because it's almost like you can't talk about it straight on because it is so simple. It is so simple. And it's so obvious that almost if you try to explain it to somebody, as simply and as obviously as it is, they won't get it, because our human minds have been kind of conditioned for complication. Like, we've been sold that, enlightenment. I hate that word. It makes it sound so elitist. It makes it sound like a hierarchy. That's not what this is. We're all exactly the same. There is no one's better or more spiritual than the other. We're all exactly the same being, experiencing ourselves. How can one be above another? It doesn't make any sense at all. So different perspectives are a little bit like, once you've eaten the meal, once you really know what that meal's like, I might then try and describe that meal to you, and I might say it's really, really garlicky. What I got was a really, really strong garlic taste. Somebody else who'd eaten the exact same meal might say salty, so salty. Somebody else might be like, oh, really, really spicy. I was getting lots of chili. And we could all be talking about the same meal, but just how it tasted to us. So that's what I'm finding. Like, spiritual perspectives online can sometimes appear to kind of contradict each other, and that's not something that I think, as a seeker or as somebody who's interested in the truth and you're looking through all this information, don't let that put you off. Because when we're talking about an infinite being, how can one thing just sum it up, apart from the simplicity of what it is? It's love. It's just love. It's pure love, pure compassion, pure well-being. It wants nothing. It needs nothing. It desires nothing. But in these little, people suits that we're wearing, it's upside down. We want everything, but we feel like we need everything. We're unfulfilled. The human condition is feeling unfulfilled because I think on some level we all know we're not this. We're not this. We're the infinite playing finite. We're having a little game of pretending that we're limited, pretending that we're much smaller than we are. So I kind of drew away from listening to all of these things online as much. Don't get me wrong, I still do, and it's still lovely sometimes, I listen to David Bingham, Rupert Spira, Eckhart Tolle, all of those people, and they've got such beautiful words a lot of the time to describe it. But what resonates with you is what resonates with you. It's like being in school and having a teacher. 3 teachers can teach exactly the same lesson to a class, but one teacher can come at it with language, even body language, with energy that just resonates with you more. That means that the lesson is learned. Another teacher can give you the exact same information delivered in a different way, and for whatever reason for you, that lesson won't be learned because you didn't click with that. You didn't resonate with that, and that's okay, because what they're saying is going to click with somebody else. And there needs to be all these different ways of coming at it, of describing it, so that everybody who tries to come and get acquainted with this truth can hear it in a way that they can understand it. Maybe every way isn't going to be for you to understand, and that's okay. So that's really kind of my point on this. If you think that there's different perspectives out there and you think that some of them are maybe clashing, that's okay, because they're all speaking to their own audience of the same thing. And however this truth gets out, however people click with this, however people connect with this, and hopefully realize just actually what they are, stop reading the menu, stop conceptually understanding the idea that you are the one infinite creator, and feel it. Taste the meal, eat it. Once you've tasted it, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. I can second guess myself from reading the menu. I can second guess the waiter's opinion on it. I can second guess all of this. As soon as I've tasted it, there's no second guessing anymore. I know. So I was never a spiritual seeker, and in a way, I think I'm quite grateful, because I see so many people, in turmoil with this and really searching for something and feeling really unfulfilled and feeling like they've heard about what they are, but they just don't understand it yet. They just don't feel it yet. Listen, if it can happen for somebody like me, who had absolutely no spiritual background, one day I remembered, it can happen for you. It can happen for you. And God, that's why I'm making these videos. When this happened for me, I remember saying on the day, I must be of service. I must be of service. And it's so strange, because they're just not words that I would use. Be of service, I would never have used that as a turn of phrase. But I knew, as soon as I knew this, that I had to give it away. I had to somehow put it out there so that it could help somebody else. And you put videos on YouTube and you don't know where they're going to go, and you don't know whether 2 people are going to watch it or no people are going to watch it or anything like that. But that's not the point. My service is, I put this video out, and if it touches somebody and they hear, like, a Scouse lad from a working class background in Liverpool talking about how this happened for him, then they know that it can happen for them, because I'm nothing special. I'm nothing special at all. I didn't go and live in an ashram. I didn't go and train myself with all these different spiritual beliefs and religious beliefs. I had none of that, but it was still for me. If it's still possible for me, then it is possible for every single person on this planet. And that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, to remember this. So, just quite a short video today. I'm keeping them a little bit shorter because I know that they can go on and nobody's got time for that in the modern world. But I hope you've heard this, and if you are hearing a lot of spiritual perspectives online and it's confusing you or it's making things seem overcomplicated, know that it's not complicated. They're all talking about the exact same thing, just by using their own taste palette, just by using what they understand of it more, just by using their perspective. So what are we here for if not to share our perspective? It's exactly what I'm doing just now. And I hope that somebody can hear this and can maybe understand it in a way that perhaps they didn't understand it before. And just know that I do this out of service. I do this because I want this for you. Love you. Bye-bye.